What's going on, guys? It's Mike for Sim Racing 604, and this is my Next Level Racing Motion Plus cockpit mover. If you've seen my videos before, you know I use a seat mover on my racing cockpit. Now it's time to move the whole cockpit, and that's exactly what this Motion Plus is designed to do. It's the newest motion device from Next Level Racing. I'm super excited to have this, so in this video I'm going to get it unboxed, get it built, get it mounted, and then of course test it out. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so as mentioned, this is the Next Level Racing Motion Plus system. It's going to fit onto this. You can just kind of see the corner of it there. That is my FGT Elite cockpit. And yeah, so it's a small little box here. Let's see, what are the dimensions? Roughly 21 long. Let's call it 9 deep. And yeah, just over a foot high. So just a little box, considering it contains something so powerful that it can move the entire cockpit. It has a weight rating of up to 550 pounds. So that includes myself, cockpit, you know, wheelbase, pedals, all that. So it has to move all that, of course, and up to 550 pounds or 250 kilograms. So kind of an awkward thing to unbox, but I will do my best here. So let's get into that. So unsurprisingly, the first thing you come across is this instruction manual. Next Level Racing also has excellent online tutorials. They have videos on how to build all this, how to install all this in case you get stuck. Oh, that is heavy. So afraid of dropping something. All right, so I found out the hard way that my 2x2 table is not nearly enough to do a proper unboxing of this Motion Plus. So rather than do the unboxing, I've just put the parts here. This is my first time seeing them. I didn't really take a deep look at this. Obviously, the instruction manual and links to, there's a QR code for the assembly video that you can watch. I have watched it before. It looks like a fairly simple build. So this is the pivot bar. So the way the Motion Plus works is one side, either front or back of your cockpit, is going to be the one that's actively moving, and the other side will roll over this pivot bar. So some assembly required with that. We'll get into that shortly. And then various components here. I'll have to go through the instruction manual. I might do a time-lapse video on the build. It looks like a fairly simple build, but a lot of real heavy-grade metal components here. Not sure how much of this you can hear, but everything feels very, very solid. Lots of heavy-grade metal. These two L brackets here, which will be what affix this motorized unit, this module, to the unit. And huge bag of nuts, bolts. What else we got? I'm sure some washers in there, probably some T-nuts. Yeah, it looks like it's all present. So that's good. Next Level Racing has always been very generous with the accessories they pack in. And then we got power cables. Looks like we have 2 power cables, probably. Aha, one North American and one, I would guess, European. And then, is there a USB cable? Yes, there's a USB cable there. And then we have, of course, the unit itself. This is the active module. This is what's going to move. Is it getting on camera? Yeah, of course it is. Oh, it's a pretty heavy thing. On the back, let's see if I can flip it around here for you guys. So hopefully you guys can see that, but I got the USB port there, power port there, and then the on-off toggle switch. And I think that's it for connections. So the way this is controlled is through a software on your PC. So yeah, that's it. So now it's time to build. And again, I'm going to consult the instruction manual. I have watched the video. The video seemed pretty simple. I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises here, but yeah, I guess it's time to flip to a different camera and I will do the build and then I'll get it installed. I can't wait to try it, but I do want to take my time and make sure this gets built correctly. So let's start building now. Alright, so before I talk about the assembly and installation, let's talk about some of the features of the Next Level Racing Motion Plus. The Motion Plus platform is the newest motion simulation product from Next Level Racing. It's a cockpit mover system and is designed for use with Next Level Racing's Elite Series or GT Track cockpits and can complement the current Next Level Racing motion products. The system can accommodate combined user and cockpit weights of up to 250 kilograms or 550 pounds. This motion system is compatible with most major racing and flight simulation titles and offers VR compensation functions via the software to mitigate motion sickness. The Motion Plus ships with both a motion module and a pivot bar and simulates the pitch and roll sensations of driving and flying. Purchasing and installing a second module adds a heave motion, giving a total of 3 degrees of freedom. The unit is designed to provide fast response and can produce movement acceleration of up to 1,100 millimeters per second squared. This allows it to recreate sensations such as road bumps, corner camber, gear shift, kick, and chassis vibrations. All required cables are included, and the platform manager software is also included, which can be used to create custom motion profiles for games and allows individual and concurrent profiles for chassis and seat motion. The Next Level Racing Motion Plus system is available now and carries an MSRP of $3,499 US. And for disclosure, this unit was provided to me for a review free of charge. No money was exchanged and no script or talking points were given. Okay, so time for some notes on the assembly and installation of the Motion Plus onto my FGT Elite cockpit. As far as the assembly goes, it was a fairly simple build. There was really only 2 major steps. The first was to build the feet for the module, which involved turning 16 bolts to join the 2 legs, the 2 support bars, and a U-channel. And this did feel like something that could have been taken care of at the factory. Granted, the shipping box would have to change, but in the case where 16 bolts are required for strength, I'd lean towards this being best done as a one-piece unit rather than something that has to be built by the end user. But anyway, the second step was to add feet and side plates to the motion module itself. Super simple, nothing really to report on here. The only note I have is that interestingly, the side plate mounting is different for FGT and GT Elite cockpits. This isn't a complaint, just a note that if you're buying this unit for a GT Elite cockpit or an FGT Elite cockpit, just make sure you have the right screw holes used for the right height. But overall, the assembly was quick and easy. It took about 20 minutes and there weren't any unexpected challenges. I guess my only gripe with the assembly was that the tools weren't included. And this is something I mention in nearly every hardware review I do. With the volume of products these hardware manufacturers buy, it would probably cost pennies to include the proper Allen keys and wrenches, and those could just tuck into a small void in the packaging without increasing the weight very much. Historically, Next Level Racing has been very good at including everything they need, so I was a bit surprised to have to reach for my own tools here. But to speak about the assembly, it's more of a cautionary tale than anything. I decided to lift the rear of my cockpit and set it down on the pivot bar, then lift the front of my cockpit and set it down on the motion module. And Next Level Racing does show in their video to tip over the rig and install the 2 units, and I would have to say that that is the right way to do it. It wasn't so much the weight of the unit that made this difficult, it was the angle. Lining up the T-nuts took way too much time, so if you do buy this unit, do yourself a favor and just follow their video. But anyway, awkward angles notwithstanding, the installation only took about 45 minutes. I decided for now to install the pivot bar at the rear of the cockpit and the motion module at the front, since I already have the Motion Platform V3 under my seat providing motion effects at the rear of the rig. So once I had it mounted, I just plugged in the power, connected the USB to my computer and turned it on, and Windows found it right away and registered it automatically, and the platform manager software was able to detect the new unit as well. And I told the software that I had the module at the front of my rig and the distance between the module and the pivot bar, and I was good to go. So one last note before I move on to configuration and testing. With the module mounted at the front of the rig, the on-off switch is in a really awkward position. I actually have to get out of my seat and turn the unit on or off. This is because the module isn't reversible. The switch has to be toward the front of the cockpit, so it would be great if the software had the ability to reverse the lateral forces of the unit, much the same as you can reverse the longitudinal forces when the unit is at the front or rear, but that's really my only gripe. So overall, very easy assembly, super easy to get going once it's plugged into the computer as well. So good step here, and now let's do some testing. Alright guys, so here we are in Automobilista 2 on board the Formula USA Gen 2, and we're here at Long Beach. I'm going to try and create a tune. I'm going to try and get the settings of the Motion Plus, shaking the chassis in a way that I like, in an immersive way. I'm going for a little bit of body roll. I want to feel the corners. I want to feel the chassis pitch a bit, or excuse me, roll a bit, and I want to feel it pitch as well under braking and ideally under acceleration, but I don't know if I can do that with the unit mounted at the front. So we'll see what happens. So right now I've just got my profile on default, so let's see what this feels like. And right away, I can tell you that is too much. So not only is the strength too high, but I'm getting way too much bumpiness from the road. I mean, this is obviously a street circuit, and it's going to be bumpy, especially in a car this stiff. But I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I could barely feel myself going over that curve there because I've just got too much sort of background noise going on with the road bumps. So forget this. Return to the pit box. I will hide myself. And let's look at this configuration. So again, everything on default. Gonna turn the power down to half for now. Bumps I will make very light. Let's go 1/3 of what it was. And I'm not going to touch any of these. You can see they've got this little diagram here. But basically chassis roll gain, how much the chassis is going to pitch left or right as you go around a corner. Vertical G-force gain, that's simulating heave, which I don't think we can do with just one Motion Plus unit. Longitudinal G-force, that is the pitch forward or back, depending on whether you're accelerating or braking. And then the lateral G-force gain, similar to chassis body roll gain, I believe, except if I'm not mistaken, this chassis roll gain kind of keeps things even and turns it on equally front and back, whereas the G-force gain, I'm guessing, squats or extends to kind of dip you away from the center of the car to simulate those G-force effects. So let's try that. Just turn the overall intensity down, turn the bumps intensity to 0.30. Bring myself back from hidden. And let's go into the sim. And let's see if that feels any better. So definitely an improvement on the bumps. Still kind of a lot going on here. Yeah, chassis feels a bit muted. I think I got the power down. I think that 0.5 is not quite enough for me. Yeah, decent. Yeah, I think I still need less bumps. I think I need more power and less bumps. So I'm going to have to turn the bump effects way down and turn the power up. Maybe I'll just move it up in a small increment, maybe 0.6 or 0.65 or something like that. But yeah, still too much bumpiness. So power up, let's go 0.65. Bumps, let's go half. I don't know, maybe a little bit less. What do you say? Let's go 0.1. So not much there at all. We'll see if we can still feel anything. And return to the game. Alright, so still a decent amount, and you don't want it turned down too much. Because, number one, you want to get use out of your unit. Number two, you can see how much the virtual car is shaking. Like, this is a bumpy course, so you don't want your chassis bumps all the way off. Otherwise, it's going to be weird to see it shaking on screen and not feel anything through your chassis. So I've got it turned down quite low now. But, you know, I can still feel the major dips, that's for sure. And there's just kind of a general road noise, so I think I like this. I think I got the bumps somewhere around where I want them. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I think I can live with this for now, especially for the purposes of this demonstration. I mean, I can go back and tune this whenever I want. And by the way, you can create clones of these profiles. So if I get this dialed in perfectly, exactly to my liking here with Indy Formula USA at Long Beach, I can save it as that in the platform manager software and then clone it if I need to and make some tweaks for the next course, or just create a general profile that I like to use on all of the AMS2 cars. So yeah, lots of options with the platform manager software. But yeah, just kind of settling into this, seeing how I like it. It's pretty good. I think I would like a little bit more lateral force, so yeah, a little bit more chassis body roll. But I guess we're driving a pretty stiff car here, so we don't want it overdone. Let's see how it feels at speed here. Didn't really get a chance to run it there. Past turn 8, we should be able to get a run. Is that turn 8? Maybe it's not. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, decent amount of chassis roll. Maybe even too much for a car like this. So let me go back to the pits. Let's say we want less chassis roll with this stiff car. Let's say we want more lateral G-force. I'm just picking these numbers out of nowhere. And vertical, that might be affecting the sort of bumpiness. So let me turn that down a bit. Again, just sort of plucking numbers out of thin air. Not going to make it perfect. I just want it decent for the time being. It's weird how, by the way, my UI doesn't match what's on the dash display. I don't know if I'm in first gear or neutral. Neutral. Alright, there we go. Anyway. So the bumps feel a little bit different now, I believe. Okay, so I am going to have to put those... no, maybe not. Whew. Can't drive today. Okay. So what am I feeling? Well, there's not much. I think I need to bring that chassis roll back, even though it does feel a little bit off having that much chassis roll in a car like this. I think I like the feeling in the seat though. So I don't actually know how much these cars would have rolled in that situation. I mean, you're not going to be doing much weaving in a car like this, of course, down a straightaway, realistically. So I think I'm going to bring those effects back. I mean, I'm sure you could make the argument that that suspension is too soft for a car like this, but I want what feels right. So let me bring that back. Let me bring chassis roll back. We'll leave it at the 1. Lateral G-force, that might be too high now. I'm going to bring a bit of this back because the bumps felt a little strange. Yes, yes. Right away. This feels good. This feels really, really good. This is just like I found the correct amount of sweetness in the tea. Feels natural. Seems to be in sync with what I'm feeling through my wheel, what I'm seeing on my screen. I don't know how it's coming through on the camera, but yeah, this feels tremendous. So this is it. This is a very, very good profile, I believe. Just the right amount of shake. The car feels alive underneath me. Yeah, I like this. I like this. So I'm gonna say that this is good, but we haven't talked about one thing, which is the longitudinal or the pitch of the car. So let me slam on the brakes here, coming into this next corner. There's a little bit of pitch. You can see it every time I touch my brakes really hard. So even at low speed, you can see it. You might even be able to hear that through my mic. But the car does dip. I think I want just a shade more. I'm trying to make that line up with what I'm seeing on my screen. Let me get to a straighter section here. That's pretty much perfect, but I'm going to dial it up just slightly. Let's go with that. Let's go with 1.2. And hopefully, what will be the final test drive. Not that I'm not loving this. But hopefully we've got our tune set. So, great amount of chassis shake. Perfect amount of chassis shake going over those bumps, those high curves. And you know what's interesting is that something I did took away a bit of the chassis roll effect. I want a little bit more going over those curves. Could just be that I am focused on different things now, but need one more go here. And you gotta try and avoid, you know, dialing everything up to the max, because yeah, you're just gonna be overly you're just gonna be inundated with haptic information. Let's see if that worked out. I don't know what's going on with my shifter here. Doesn't seem to want to let me downshift, which is really unfortunate timing. There we go. Ah, there we go. There we go. That's what I wanted to feel. Yes. I don't want to bore you guys too much. I think I've got the overall set about 2 to 5% too high. It's just a bit too dramatic, but I'm not going to waste any more time tuning here because I think I got this feeling pretty awesome. I'm sure you guys get the point about tuning. You guys get the point about missing apexes too, hopefully. Ah, yes, that body roll feels great. Feels great. All right, let's see if we can put in a half-decent lap here. And for those wondering about lap times, does all this chassis shake and all this extra motion, does it slow you down? Does it speed you up? Well, will not speed you up. Don't buy this with the intent of making yourself faster at sim racing. It will not do that. I think you could make the case for going from a potentiometer-based brake pedal to a load cell-based brake pedal, increasing your speed on track. But that's one of the few things I've ever heard argued in favor of gear that can make you faster. This will not do that, but this will take your immersion level to just an unbelievable new high. And will it make you slow? Not if you're doing right. If you get the tune set up, if you're getting thrown around violently and you can't hold on to your wheel, yeah, of course it's going to slow you down. But with a little bit of effort and tuning, I mean, you should have no problem getting this to a point where it's not affecting your lap times in the slightest. So this feels absolutely amazing. This feels like something I should have to pay $30 an hour at some simulator center to enjoy. Feels really, really incredible. The sense of immersion is just off the charts. Completely off the charts. You can feel everything the car is doing underneath you, and it's really incredible that this exists. So, I mean, huge fun, huge immersion. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but it's amazing that you can still feel curb detail despite throwing around a big guy like me and a heavy chassis like this. I mean, you can still feel curb detail. That's amazing. So yeah, that's the tuning process. I mean, I think this whole thing, I haven't kept a timer, but I'm guessing we're at somewhere around the 15-minute mark, so it doesn't take long. And again, you can clone these profiles. And as far as I'm aware, you can set up as many as you want for each sim. So you can use this one as a template for your next build, or you can create one from scratch, whatever you want. So very cool with the platform manager software. And that's tuning. So now I'm going to build a tune on my own and show you a much more bouncy car and give you guys a description of what that feels like. Okay, so here we are at Adelaide on board the V8 supercar back in Automobilista 2. And I've got things basically turned up to, I wouldn't say the extreme, but certainly turned up far higher than I had with the Formula USA. And what I'm trying to simulate here, guys, is just that bounciness. You see me taking curves really, really aggressively, and I want to feel that. So that's exactly what I've done. And yeah, this thing is a blast. Like, just every single effect, every single bump in the road, every single curb you go over, I mean, you feel it. And it's the V8 supercars, from what I can tell, it looks like they have comparatively soft suspension, so going over curbs like that isn't going to upset the car too much. And so you do feel that. Like, the way I've got everything set up, it's a very bouncy feel in the chassis, and yeah, it feels nice and soft. The sharpness and the aggressive haptic feedback you get from the Formula USA isn't really present here. This is more of a loose feeling suspension, and, you know, of course, a large part of that credit goes to Reza for you know, building in the physics for that softer suspension. But yeah, it translates well through this Motion Plus, and hopefully you guys can see the difference between this and what I had before. This is just a very loose feeling car, and we'll again hit this first chicane as aggressively as I can. And yeah, that's so cool. Just getting tossed about. Whoa, too much. Not sure how I held on to that. Move over, Shane Van Ginsbergen. Actually, stay right where you are. But yeah, feeling these curbs, man, I mean, it's just really incredible. And I mean, you can see how this would lead into a rally experience or something like that, where everything is bumpy. I mean, this is still a race car at the end of the day. It's bumpy compared to the Formula USA Indy car, but you know, as I say, next to like a rally car or something like that, just sort of not on that level. but feels tremendous. Feels tremendous. What a great product. I'm so impressed that it can not only simulate the you know, the bump ridges, the ridges rather in the curbing at Long Beach, but also the bounciness of a V8 supercar. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's really amazing. So that's it, guys. That's it for the demonstrations, and now let's get into my final thoughts and closing remarks. Alright guys, so time to wrap things up with the video, and I'm going to share my sort of final thoughts and review of the Next Level Racing Motion Plus. And we'll start off with the pros, things I like about the Motion Plus system. The first one is the fun factor and immersion level. It's just really off the charts. It's fantastic. It's changed the way I look at sim racing, frankly. One of the reasons this review took longer than my normal reviews is that I was just having so much fun with this unit. It's really just breathed new life into sim racing for me. I can hop into any of my favorite sims, just take a random car out and just feel everything moving underneath me, feel the car sort of feeling alive more so than ever in these sims. And again, it's just really changed how I look at sim racing. It's just brought the fun factor to a whole new high, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, that immersion factor, the feeling of the car being alive underneath you, is something I've never felt before. And just a truly fantastic, huge, fun product. So that's my first pro. Next up is the small and compact design. I mean, it's clean. It just sits under the rig. It's basically invisible other than your cockpit sitting, about 4 inches higher than it normally would. But other than that, you can't really see it. I mean, you can hear it. It's got a fan. It makes noise, not a particularly large amount of noise. But overall, it's very discreet. And, just having the one USB into your computer, one power cable, that's all you need to get going. I mean, that deserves some praise in my mind. Next up is the fidelity of the unit. It's super impressive how this thing, which I spoke about this in my tuning section, I'm a big guy. I'm well over 250 pounds, and this thing can throw me around quite easily, along with my cockpit, my wheelbase, pedals, etc. But it can also give you the detail of, the smaller road bumps and the curb detail. And that's amazing. I find that very impressive. So you're not getting something that's just throwing you around for the sake of throwing you around. It can deliver impressive fidelity and also the big motion effects as well. So that definitely belongs to my pro category. And the last one in the pros is the platform manager software. You guys saw it when I did my tuning section, but really easy to create a tune of this that you get along with nicely and works for you. If you like to be thrown around more by a chassis movie, you can do it in the platform manager software. If you just want those subtle effects, you can do that as well. So it's a great tuning software. And again, you can create those profiles, you can clone them, so you can make slight adjustments track to track if you wish, or if there's one sort of baseline setup that you want to use, baseline tune rather, you can do that as well and just apply that to all the cars in a sim or one car in a sim at every track. Or you can get down to the granular level and set up a particular tune for a car and track combo. And moving on to the neutral category now, things I'm kind of indifferent on. The first one is the install. So compared to most motion systems, this one is simple, but don't get into it thinking this is going to be a 5-minute job. So I didn't do it right. I chose to lift my rig by hand and slide the units under, both the motion module and the pivot bar. And that's not the way to do it. I would really recommend you tip your rig over, get it on there, and then tip your rig back up. But even that process is somewhat elaborate, and I had to adjust my monitor height, of course, because you're raising your whole cockpit up 4 inches. So again, I don't think it's a terrible install by any means, but at the same time, don't get into it thinking it's just going to be simple and you'll have it up and running in 5 minutes without any effort, because it does take a pretty good amount of effort. It is a fairly heavy unit. So just something to be aware of. The second one is the price. So I mean, anytime you talk about the price of a motion system in sim racing, you have to have the caveat that you're paying thousands of dollars for a video game accessory. So just keep that in mind. And as far as where it lands in the market, I mean, I did a little research. I know Barry Rowland just did a review of the Sigma Integrale, which Integrale, I think I pronounced that right. It's a 4-actuator system, and it comes in a little more than $5,000. To get a 4-actuator system with the Motion Plus, you would be spending $7,000, so it's quite a bit more expensive to go with the Motion Plus if you're going with 2 units off the jump. And then there was one more unit, I can't remember which. I'll try and put it on your screen. I think Next Level Racing has priced this right about where it needs to be. But again, you have to sort of take it with a grain of salt that it is thousands of dollars for a video game accessory. It's blown my mind with how amazing it is, but I don't want to downplay the price and say, like, everybody should just rush out and buy this right now, because ultimately it is a pretty expensive product at the end of the day. But again, relative to its market, I think it's well priced. And then finally, the monitors in the neutral category. So a lot of people have questions about, you're moving relative to your monitors. That's not right. Your monitors should move with you. And Next Level Racing does have a product for that. They now have a monitor mount that bolts onto your chassis. Personally, I think you should be moving. Pardon me, that sounded weird. You should be moving relative to your monitor. When I think of driving a car, and I did do a little research and looked up onboard videos, and especially if you're not, if you don't have a hands device, if you don't have a 5-point harness, when you hit the brakes, your head pitches forward relative to the windshield. So I believe personally the monitors should be stationary. I know a lot of people run it that way, and I think even if I was offered to review the bolt-on monitor mount from Next Level Racing that bolts onto your chassis, I think I would keep the stationary, frankly. I don't find it off-putting whatsoever. And again, I think even though the car does pitch under braking, for example, your head moves more relative to that. So I personally think the monitors should be stationary. So that's one aspect. But the other aspect of the monitors is that I'm out of height. So I had to set my monitors, because I've got the seat mover and the Motion Plus. I've got my monitors as high as I can go on the Next Level Racing monitor stand. So just something to be aware of really is you might run out of height on the monitor stand. And if you think that, your head should not be moving relative to the monitors, then you may have to factor in a new monitor stand as well. And lastly, the bad things I don't like about the Motion Plus. The module feet assembly, this is a small thing, but turning those 16 bolts into the feet for the module, I think that should be done at the factory. I don't think it should be bolted, frankly. I think that should be a weld situation, but that's perhaps just me. Next up, there's no tools included. Maybe I just got a bad box, I don't know, but generally Next Level Racing is very good for including wrenches. They even included a ratchet with the FGT Elite, but there wasn't even Allen keys that I could find in the Motion Plus box. And I'll say it till the end of time that if you're spending thousands of dollars on something like this, I think it's reasonable that the manufacturer throws in some Allen keys, maybe a wrench, tools you need to complete the assembly. It would cost them, I'm sure, under $1 to throw in a couple of Allen keys, and I think they should absolutely be doing that. And the last one in the bad category, the switch location. The switch to turn it on, because I have it mounted at the front, is sandwiched in between the front of the motion module and the front bar of my cockpit. And you kind of have to squeeze your hand in there and flip the switch. And it's just really awkward. So I wish there was a way to flip that 180 degrees and have the switch facing you, and then have the software reverse the effects, reverse the lateral effects. I think it's reasonable, because I think it's reversing the longitudinal effects when you choose to mount it at the front versus the rear. So it would be nice to have that same thing with the lateral effects and turn the module around 180 degrees. But that's it, guys. That is my review of the Next Level Racing Motion Plus. Overall, I love it. Again, the reason this review is late is because I was just having so much fun trying different cars. Everything feels so alive. It's so much fun, so immersive to drive like this. And it's prompted me also to want to get back into VR, because I think this combined with VR would just blow my mind. But overall, even without VR, it's just so good. And as I say, I'm saving my pennies to get a second unit for the rear, and I just couldn't love this thing more, and I'm so glad to have it. So thank you to Next Level Racing for sending me this unit for review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The Next Level Racing Motion Plus is available now via their website. $34.99 is the price, is the MSRP, and thank you guys so much for watching.